Hello Internet. I am back because I have been bombarded by videos and on social media about birth rates. There's plenty of videos discussing birth rates and how bad it is, and that it's a societal problem. Now, I think that this problem is enlarged to a stupid degree, and the reason being that the population today is larger than it has ever been. And this has to do with several factors, that the elderly are living longer than they have done before. So this is, at least in Sweden, is a societal cost. So this is mostly costing the taxpayer money. Because most of the people who are pensioned don't get enough money to pay for their own private care. They might pay it partially or something like that. But the money is a welfare-based system. So unless they are still having their service pension still coming. And that also comes from a working force. So it's all working force based. And an elderly person requires more than a healthy young person. They need the medicine produced. They need the service of caretaking. They need products for incontinence. Both for front and back issues. Anyways, so we are basically keeping people alive that should have passed 15 years ago. So the medicine and the caretaking are keeping people alive, which means that the population is increased because that we are living longer. And the funds are going to the ones who are going to pass. Now, on a loyalty basis that they have built up and kept society going, is a loyalty factor that in Sweden protects the elderly, and understandably so, but it has a negative effect because the focus is on people who are about to pass, and we shit on the youth. And that is the problem. When you're shitting on the youth and not having a good support system for them, they are not having kids, because everything is shitting on them. Why would they bring a child into that? Now, not only is this caused by the bad support, it's also caused by the system of females taking a bigger part in society today, in the workforce. So, in the old system, women were in the household and the men were the workers. And the problem that we are having now is that females still expect men to be a good support. So if you have a successful female, they rarely will take an unemployed man, which they should do if they really want children. So that's the problem. Men were willing to take care of women, but women are not willing to take care of men. So the system also is beneficial to women if the relationships break up. So the 90% of the men don't get the children if the relationship split up in a negative in a negative way. So this means that the man needs to pay welfare, not welfare. I don't know the English word for it, but they needed to pay for each child. In Sweden, it's a fixed number. It's not. They don't care about your yearly income or anything. So you need to pay about $185 or euros per child, and that will increase to 210, I think, when they get older. So it's a media. They are a little bit cheaper in the younger years as well. So it's like increasing cost. Anyways, if you have 10 children, then you need to pay $1,850 or euros to your partner that you had your children with. So having a giant number of children is just a bad choice financially. So the problem is that women are taking the jobs of men, and the men are not good enough for them, and they can take care of themselves, so they don't need men, and they don't want children, because the children will they will threaten their work. So they are not they're not saving up the cash to become the mother they want to be. So they want their career and they want the family, but they're not willing to take care of an unemployed man that might be needing their security of the income. But their income might not be safe after they have a bunch of kids, if they need to take for the children if they get sick and stuff. So it's society have a bunch of rules that are supposed to protect you and the children, but the system in Sweden is that you have a written agreement with your employer, and if you can't live up to the requirements, you can lose that job. So there's like a false safety that might not work for everyone. It all depends on how problematic your children are in health. So there's an unsure thing there. So if females want children and they are successful, they basically need to be very financially aware and save up money to the point where they don't need to work anymore, and then have children before they get into menopause. But Swedish females and, females in general in Sweden, they do love their freedom, but they're not willing to do what it takes to actually start a family. Society and company are the ones who need people. So the problem is that the whole when you have politicians and influencers that talk about people that needs to have children, like you need to have an abundance of them. You're not having one or two, you need to overproduce. You get no support. You only get the emotional you need to have a bunch of children. So when politicians and influencers or other people do this, it's because of their need for people. They need people in workforce. They need people to pay taxes. They need people to do services, whatever. So it's understandable, but it's not supporting you to actually have children. That you need to figure out yourself, and then you're responsible for the children you created. And the fact is, when you look at it from an individual's perspective, you don't need children. Your life don't get better. You might get to know your children, you might love them, and you might care for them, and you want to see them grow up, and you get to learn, know them and stuff. So there are a bunch of things that humanly would be good for you, but is it safe to have children? Are you stable enough to have them? Can you take care of them? Can you feed them? Or are you buying the food at the store? Can you build their homes? Or do you rent or buy something that someone else builds up? Are you providing the work that they need in the future to stand on their own two legs? Or is society going to do all these things for you? Because that doesn't work. So the problem is that we have people who have children who are gonna give nothing to their children. So they're gonna be just desperate individuals in need of caretaking of others. Now they are desperate for society or a company to get their own life in order. So, as an individual, if you're smart, you realize that having children does not make your life easier. Even if you would want them, can you afford them, take care of them? They can also be taken from you in Sweden if you're a bad parent for one reason or another, and they can be taken from you on a simple lie for 6 months. They will be taken from you until the situation has been what do you say? They investigate your living situation to see if it's true. So they're trying to save the children, which is admirable. I can't pronounce the word, but I think it's good. They're trying to save someone, but the negative effect is that it gives powers to liars. Anyways, the reasons why not to worry is very simple. We're 8 billion today, 8.2 billion. So we're not in a deficit of humans. And even if we were, let me explain why it is problematic to just panic people into having more children, if that hasn't been said enough already. If 4 people, 2 men and 2 women, have 10 kids each, or more, if those 20 kids have 10 kids, you will now have 200 kids. So, 4 people can go to 200 in no time at all. And we are 8.2 billion right now. We can overpopulate the world to a destructional levels in the upcoming 20 to 30 years. So, even if the world population would plummet to 1 billion, those people could reproduce the world to today's numbers in no time at all. Because 4 people can go to 200 people in 3 generations. This is... People do not need to be told to have children. That's nonsense. But society also needs people to function. With the world population being at the brink of destroying nature itself, being pushed and forced or fooled into getting children is just bad for the individual. If there was a motivational factor, people would have children, but we will also come closer to the world's end. Just on the world being overpopulated, there will be a little... when the world is overpopulated, there will be too little water and food to keep us healthy or living a life worth living. If you dig a well and you're drinking water from that well, it will be dried. You will dry the entire area. If there's too many mouths to drink the water supply, and there's not a natural water source there, that ground needs to be filled up with rain water. So if too many people lives in that spot, you will drink up the water from that well, so all vegetables will die, and in turn all other life will die around you. Don't manipulate people in having children when we are living in an overpopulated world. Now, I know there's very, very little we can do about religious groups that are overproducing with low IQ individuals that don't understand that they are fucking to their own destruction. But hopefully with education we can teach people that please don't get more children than you can afford. And if we want to motivate people to have a lot of children, maybe the rich people should be the one producing those, because they can actually afford to have a bunch of children. If you're poor, just look, can you afford 1 child? Can you afford 2 childs? Stop there. At least you have some children. You know, you don't have to overproduce. Let rich people do that shit. And then their children can work in the normal jobs. That's what I say.